What's up everybody, Scott Ackerman here, and today we are doing the top 10 worst, not best, manga to movie adaptations. This only includes live action movies. This does not include the anime realm because that is a very big realm. Now, the opinions I state today are mine and mine only. You may share them, you may disagree, that's great, I really don't care. Let's move on. Starting with number 10, Gantz, or Gantz as some people pronounce it. Gantz had some great actors in it. Nino from Arashi, who was also in Letters to Iwo Jima. The guy's got talent, I'm not going to deny that. Unfortunately, this movie did deny that. It denied everybody's talent entirely, and it denied the fact that the entire Gantz plot line is really quite good. Unfortunately, I think the biggest problem they had here was there's over 100 in the series, 100 different mangas in the series. And trying to squish all them into Gantz 1, and then there was Gantz 2, yes I know, I've seen them both, was not enough. They should have either, number 1, paced themselves a little bit more slowly, or number 2, only picked a couple stories to put in the first and second movie. Why they tried to squish all different types of plots and characters into just 4 hours worth of footage makes no sense. Okay, our next movie, I tend to get the pronunciation wrong. So you can go ahead and correct me in the comments, flame me on how I say it, whatever makes you feel really good inside. Thermae Romae, or as some people have called it, Thermae Romae. I've heard 2 different pronunciations, both from Japanese people here in Japan. You decide which one is right. I really don't care because all I'm doing is reviewing it, not giving a pronunciation lesson. Thermae Romae. Well, let's start out with the main problem. The character in this is a Roman. He is played by a Japanese person. Why they decided to use a Japanese person to play a Roman makes no sense. Here's a little tip, and this is a pro tip. There are gaijin who speak Japanese. I know this blows your mind, but there are gaijin who speak Japanese. Hire them to act as the gaijin in your movie. Now, Abe, you're a great actor. I loved you in the series, Shinzamono. Unfortunately, you are Japanese and you are not Roman, so it didn't really make this any bit believable. On top of that, the adaptation is really quite bad. They've marred the story. Again, they've tried to force too much into too short a time. The actual manga themselves are incredibly well drawn and written by a woman who now lives in New York, I think. She speaks English, Italian, and Japanese. She must be a genius because what she writes and draws is great. Check out the manga if nothing else. Next up, number 8, Daring wa Gaikokujin. That means My Darling is a Foreigner. A manga series I read completely. There's only, I think, 4 books total. Covers the life of an international marriage between a gaijin and a Japanese woman. The life I'm currently living right now. So, a very interesting comic for me. Unfortunately, a not so interesting movie. What happens here is they pretty much cut and paste different sections of the comics into random spots of the movie while also involving their own really bad storylines. On top of it, they don't actually use a 100% gaijin. They actually do use a Japanese citizen. Okay, yes, he is half, that's true, but he's a Japanese citizen, so that makes it way less believable. And you can take a look at this guy and say, yeah, he is definitely Japanese, so why is he again playing a foreigner? I don't get that. There are so many people to choose from here. I know we only make up 1% of the population, but that is a lot of people. The thing that makes it also not so great is even the moments they chose from the manga are not the best ones. The one that I can really say I enjoyed a little bit is there's a pizza incident where his wife takes a bite of his pizza while ordering her own pizza, which In America is kind of taboo, but in Japan is totally seen as like eating tapas, or eating from different plates, or like eating as an izakaya. So that part to me was really funny. I liked that. I got a little bit of a laugh out of it. The rest was garbage. Read the manga. Okay, so our next one up is DMC, which stands for Detroit Metal City. Yes, I realize it borrows from an American titled movie, but the manga artist did not have that in mind when he wrote this, and it does not follow any sort of plot from that movie. This plot follows a character who has a hilarious dichotomy of being in love with emo music, but being contractually forced to sing in a death metal band. Unfortunately, his real talent lies in this being a hardcore death metal corpse painted figure with an incredible costume that makes him a terrorizer of the audience, but his true passion is emo music. So you constantly see him not only at war with his contractual agreement and band, but with his own internal demons and emo-ness, I guess? Anyway, hilarity ensues through all these as he falls in love with a girl who's really into the emo scene and is constantly messing it up due to the fact that he has to play in this death metal band, and she really hates death metal, she really loves emo. He's constantly running between the two bands, trying to switch costumes, trying to get ready for an emo concert, trying to get ready for a death metal concert. Ha ha ha. The movie can't do this well. The movie sucks quite bad. And I think the actor they chose did a great job. He made great facial expressions that really copied the main character of the comic. And he's been good really in a lot of movies, I gotta say. But unfortunately, his character that plays the girlfriend is just bland as all hell. The story's bland. It's just a really watered down version of the comics. The most simplified story ever. I want this girl, she likes emo, I play in a death metal band. And it's just constant jokes surrounding that. Not so funny. I'd say, again, check out the series. As far as manga's concerned, don't check out the movie. Okay, this next movie is so bad. I almost want to make it my number one, but I've kept it here down at number 6 only because of its origins. Its origins in manga and anime are awesome. It is Blood, the Last Vampire, or sometimes just called Blood, and there's different other titles concerning what the story plot is for the time. It is an awesome anime series, an awesome manga series. I have never seen such hardcore hyper violence drawn so crisp and clearly. The moves that this girl does, she's a schoolgirl with a samurai sword who's actually thousands of years old because she's a vampire. Incredible plot, really awesome fight scenes. If you haven't seen any of these movies, you really need to check these out. I mean, you really need to check out the anime movies. The live action movie, I would highly suggest you avoid it. Number 1, they didn't use a Japanese actor, they used a Korean actor. I don't know why, because the character is Japanese in the anime and the manga. I guess maybe they were hoping Western audiences wouldn't notice the difference, but when the credits come up, I mean, you know right away. On top of it, the CGI is the worst CGI I've ever seen in my life. Spoiler alert, the demon at the end, well, he just looks like a video game from like 1994. It is so bad and so pathetic. You'll be laughing by the time you get to the end. There's just no way you can take anything that happens in this movie seriously. And when you finally see the end boss, the final fight, the CGI demon that they have at the end, you'll have lost all hope. Next up, Liar Game. Yes, there's 3 Liar Game movies in this series. I understand that. I've seen number 1, I've seen number 2. They're not so good. I couldn't make it to number 3. Sorry. Okay. Aside from the fact that it rips off the Jigsaw character from Saw, Liar is a pretty good manga. It's got some interesting plot lines. It addresses the situation of hikikomoris in Japan. It also addresses a nation desperate to make a living and more obsessed with materialism rather than living an actual life. Now, I'm not saying that's Japan in a nutshell, I'm just saying it addresses those issues. America has the same issues, please. Anyway, the movie doesn't really do these mangas any sort of justice because, number one, they choose some of the worst actors ever. Aside from the villain, who has always been a great villain in any movie he's ever been in, all the actors who play the heroes or heroines or person you want to see win the game suck. You don't care. They die. You don't care. They lose the game. You don't care. They don't win money. You don't care. Anyway, in the end, what you get is a bunch of garbage, and then you get a sequel to it, Liar Game 2. And I've got 2 words for that. Pachinko game. That's all it is. Just a long pachinko game. Not good. Next up, we have Death Note, also known as Desu Note. Death Note, a great manga series. Again, lots of plot twists, all different types of characters. Is Light a good guy? Is Light a bad guy? Who knows? Well, no one does until the final comic comes out. Well, the movie can't do that. The movie fails miserably at showing any of these plot twists or showing you how good the story is. The worst part about it is the movie just assumes you've read everything in the series, learned everything about it, and just starts the movie by blazing through like the first 10 issues, killing off tons of important politicians, police, detectives, while the credits are still rolling at the beginning. Here's a little bit of pro advice. Number 1, when you teach a lesson, teach it like nobody knows what the hell you're talking about. Same rule applies to a movie. Show the plot like nobody's ever read a book or a manga or seen an anime about it. You can't just expect everybody's a huge fanboy of a series and then kill tons of plot at the beginning. It doesn't work. Crows. Crows is a great manga series full of all super violent gangs in Japan. Kind of almost a mockery of the Bosozoku, Chimpira, and the Yakuza all wrapped into one. Of course, all the gangs are fake, none of them are real, but there are so many action scenes and so many fights you would think, wow, any director who took this movie and made it into something great could have the best fight scenes ever. They're so good in the manga. That didn't happen with this. Kind of what happened with this was, well, a guy filmed some stuff and gave it to some poor editor who tried to turn it into a movie. It was horrible. Crows. There's a lot of different Crows movies. Crow Zero is the absolute worst of all of them. It's just kind of pictures that move but don't really come to any kind of plot. Characters that talk but don't really say anything. Fights that happen but can never be believed or even look slightly cool. In fact, the whole thing is garbage. Alright, next up, we've got a comic book series that's been around in Japan for 40 plus years. Drawn by a man who only has one arm and survived battles in World War II, came back, became a hero of Japan, and has drawn an incredible manga ever since, known as Gegege no Kitaro. If you don't know this comic, you don't really know a lot about Japan. This thing is super famous here. There are tons and tons and tons of stuffed toys and all different types of action figures and on, and capsules, and you know how it is. You know how it is here in Japan. You know how it is. Anyway, Gegege no Kitaro. Why did you have to choose the worst actor in the world to play Gegege no Kitaro? I am sorry, but that guy is so bland. And why is he half? Why did they choose a half? It's like, you want to choose a half for like Thermae Romae. You want to choose a half for something that has people who don't look Japanese. Why did you choose one for Gegege no Kitaro? I don't know if he's Japanese. I don't know if he's Gaijin. You can't really tell. The comic doesn't draw him to a realistic photo type face. So why did you have to use this guy? He is the worst actor. He has no personality. No, none. Zero personality. I've seen him on a lot of variety shows. I hate him. I've seen him in commercials. I hate him. No personality. There's zero personality. None. On top of it, the CGI, yeah, I don't get it. Japan, you make some of the best computers and video games in the world. Why can you not get CGI right in movies? I really don't understand that. You guys make the best technology and the best games, but you have some of the worst CGI I've ever seen in movies. Please, somebody explain! Don't get it. Okay, and finally, number 1. Oh, and I know all of you saw this coming. Don't act like you didn't know. What do you think? Let me hear it. Hold on, let me hear. What do you think? Go ahead, you can shout it out. Number 1 worst manga to movie adaptation. You're right, Dragon Ball Z. That's right, big surprise. The worst adaptation was made by Hollywood. Really? Oh, that's crazy. I never would have expected that. Yeah, some people have asked me before, Scott, what do Japanese people think about that movie? Because, I mean, we think it's horrible here in America. What do people in Japan think about it? Well, to give you their honest opinion, most say, well, it's a movie, and it's got the title Dragon Ball Z, but it really has nothing to do with Dragon Ball Z. It's okay if America wants to borrow titles, but please don't connect it to that manga, they say. Yeah, and trying to find an actual Japanese person who's seen it, that would be difficult. Yes, it actually did come to Japan straight to video and translated with subtitles, but like I said, nobody watches that because it's not really Dragon Ball Z. Yes, the worst adaptation ever. They got everything wrong. It was like they went out of their way to really try to make it wrong. Wrong characters, wrong ages, not even the right look. They don't look anything like the characters. They don't have the same ages as the characters. They don't have the same moves. They don't learn the same things. The story is totally different. How many things did they want to get wrong? Did they actually make another movie and then at the end say, oh, what's really popular right now? I think people like Dragon Ball Z. That's what we'll call it. We'll call it Dragon Ball Z. I'm not really sure why they thought anybody would be pleased with them totally mutilating the entire manga. I'm not really sure why they thought anybody would be pleased with them mutilating the entire manga, but they did it. You screwed it up really good. If that was your intention, you did a really good job. You did awesome. 5 stars for screwing it up. Until next time, I'm Scott Ackerman, and this is the top 10 worst manga to movie adaptations. I'll see you next time.